people who don't like me don't stop my praise. The enemy is doing the absolute best he can to discourage you and to whip you to make you feel like you're not gonna make it to your next. Do I have a witness in here? Because you don't need to be around somebody that's intimidated about your future. You don't need to be sitting by somebody that's jealous of what God's getting ready to do. If you are discouraged that yoke tonight has been broken, I come tonight with the prophetic declaration that there is nothing that shall be able to stop you from getting to the place that God has ordained for you to be. Whatever is standing before you, it has no power. Tell them you are unstoppable. You're unstoppable. You're unstoppable.
Good night, one, good night, all, good night, everybody. How is everyone doing tonight? All right, I'm here. It's a short time from Unosimi. Uno say Friday night means it's time for the show to start, right? 9 o'clock on the dot. Me not even start 1 minute late, not even a couple seconds late. Me start on the dot. All right, so nobody can complain. You know, every single time I listen to my intro, I just say, you know, I chose the right intro for that show, yeah, you know. Every time I listen to it, it's like it never gets old. Don't I agree? And the part of it where just gets me every time, at the part where I say, whatever is standing before you, it has no power, right? And a while ago, I listened to the intro, and I said, boy, that intro is powerful, you know. Because I tell you, see me right here, I have a splitting headache. Almost migraine, but I'm a migraine. I have a splitting headache. I didn't eat on time today because I was extremely busy. So it caused me to get a little headache. And I was like, boy, I wonder if I can withstand the show tonight. But the intro, let me know, say, yo, whatever it is, it now no power over me. So it now go stop the show. Right? So I'm here tonight for another show despite the headache, and the show must go on. So big up to everybody who is here right now tonight and ready for tonight's program. If you have not shared out the show as yet, please share it out right now. I know hear me say that every single show at night. So by now one should be used to it already. Right? So once you see the notification coming on the phone, automatically you just say, all right, then share, come and say unstoppable. I go say share out the show. And also remember to hit that thumbs up button over there on YouTube as well if you haven't clicked it as yet. Only one time you can click it. If you go back, go click it the next time, you go take back your like. All right. So click it once and just leave it alone. No, I'm not going to waste too much time because the guest is here waiting, and she was here for the last show Wednesday night. And after Wednesday night's program, so many of you reached out and was saying how touching Wednesday night's program was. And when we got to the end of Wednesday night's program, the caller mentioned that she herself went through an ordeal which led to her part 2, and you all wanted her part 2. So I'm going to say, unstoppable, do not bother make the part 2 take too long. So I reached out to the guest and she agreed to join us tonight again for her part 2, and she's here, right? Now, I'm going to introduce the guest to the program because remember the show is only 1 hour long, so I'm not going to waste no more time with the long talking. But before I do that, remember the rules of the platform. You are never allowed to be disrespectful. You're never allowed to call my guest outside her name. Not fool, not dunce, not idiot, not jackass, not yamid. Nothing of the sort. Or else you will be blocked. You are free to mix and mingle in the comment section with each other, free to talk about the topic, but do it in a respectful manner. All right. With that said and out of the way, let me get the guest on. Carla, welcome once again.
Good night, Unstoppable. Good
Thank you.
night, everybody.
Thank you for joining me tonight again. I will not talk too much, but just I'm gonna make you just jump right into it right away. So it's your program. Go right ahead.
Okay, so as I think I'd mentioned in the last one that I was one of 9 children. So on my mum's side, there's 4 of us, and I have one brother that is 3 years older than me, and twin sisters who are 10 years younger than me. And then on my dad's side, I'm the first one, followed by another sister and 4 brothers. So in total, I have 5 brothers and 3 sisters. So gosh, I'm not even sure how old I was. I don't think I'd even started school yet. I used to share a room and a bed with my brother because this is on my mum's side. And I remember at nights he would lay on top of me and be sort of like mimicking sex, but it wasn't actual sex. I mean, he was only 3 years older than me, so I don't even think he knew what he was doing. Where he was getting the idea from, I don't know. And that used to happen for a while. I started school and I used to knock for a friend. And the first time I knocked for her, there was no problems, went knocked for her, she was ready, we left, went to school. And then she was like, oh, knock for me tomorrow to make sure that I'm up. So I'm like, okay, cool. Got up, got myself ready, went knocked for her. And this particular morning, she wasn't ready. So her mum went to go and hurry her along. And her stepdad was left downstairs in the same room as me. And he would take my hand and put it down his trouser front. I mean, I would have been about, 7, 8, maybe at the time. And even now, I'm almost 50, I still remember how it felt, sweaty and just disgusting. And I don't even really want to get into that. So that used to happen anytime I knocked for her when she wasn't ready. So I'd always say to her, if she asked me to knock for her, are you going to be ready? Make sure you're going to be ready. Because I just didn't like that feeling. So that, eventually I just stopped knocking for her because it was easier. Because when she wasn't ready, that was what was going to happen. I didn't tell her. I didn't know what to say to her. I was young. And I just knew it was something I didn't like and just stopped knocking for her. So, as I said, my mum has twins 10 years younger than myself. So, with her, how her pregnancy started, she was pregnant and then she thought she had miscarried. Her belly was still getting bigger, so she went back to the doctors and they said, oh, you're still pregnant, so it must have been twins and you lost one. There was a neighbour who lived above us who was also pregnant and roughly about the same sort of pregnancy as my mum, in the sense of that the babies are moving. And she used to say to my mum, my mum used to say to her, do you feel kicking on both sides of your belly? And she's like, no. So again, my mum's gone back to the hospital, got checked out, and then realised it was actually triplets. And she lost one and was left with twins. So it was, I must say, being older now and having children of my own and being pregnant a few times myself, it wasn't an easy pregnancy that my mum had because she was going in and out of hospital a lot. Then towards sort of like the end, maybe like the last month or so of her pregnancy, because they were early anyway, every weekend she seemed to go into hospital. She'd go in the Friday, maybe come out the Monday, and by the Friday again, she's back in hospital. And anytime she went in hospital, I would always go and stay with an aunt. So this particular Friday, my mum's having her issues and needing to go into hospital. But there wasn't anyone to take me. Now, when I was going to school, I used to go swimming once a week with the school. And where I used to go swimming, my aunt didn't live far from there. So, I knew my way from where we went swimming to my aunt's. So I said to my mum, I can go myself. I know the way. And she's like, are you sure? I was like, yeah, I know the way. I know the way. But in my head, I didn't know how to get from the house to where I went swimming, but I knew how to get from where I went swimming to my aunt's. So I'd asked my mom's friend's son if he knew the way and if he would take me because he was older than me. So he said, yeah. Now, at the time when I saw him, he was sitting in another block of flats with a group of boys, sort of like his age, my brother's age, and they were looking at Dirty Magazine, which I know to be now. I didn't know at the time. I just thought, okay, it's a book with ladies with their boobs out. Didn't think nothing much of that. So he said, yeah, he will take me, but he said he needed to go back to his house for something and that I should follow him. So I've gone back to his house with him now. The house was empty and he took me into his mum's bedroom. And then he told me to remove my underwear, which I did. And then he said to me to lay down on the bed and that I should put my heels together. Then he said, oh, we're going to play a game. I bet I can make you move. So I'm like, okay. Then he said to me, turn off the light. So in my head now, I'm thinking, okay, this is a game you're trying to get me to move. So I'm not moving to turn off the light. So he kind of like chuckled to himself and turned off the light. And then he got inside of me and inserted himself in me. When he was finished, and trust me, I did not move an inch. Because in my head, I'm thinking it's some game. I'm like 9 years old, going on 10 years old, or probably, no, I would have been 10 by now. So I don't know about these things. I don't, I wasn't exposed to that sort of thing. But I knew it wasn't right. So he took me to the school where I went swimming and went to my aunt's house, didn't say a word to anybody because I kind of blamed myself for what happened because I led my mum to believe that, yes, I know exactly where I'm going when I didn't know the whole journey. So then I guess because, all right, so the type of person that my mum was, she was very physically abusive towards me. So she wasn't the type of person that I could really speak to. So when certain things was going on, I couldn't go to her and tell her, oh, mum, this was happening or that was happening. I mean, there was a time that I did try to, and, I will get to that. So then the second time it happened with him, I was out playing and he saw me and he said, something like he wanted me to get something from his house, or I need to get something from his house or something. I can't remember exactly what it was. And he done the same thing again. So now I'm very wary of this person. So there was an evening, like after school, where I was leaving school. And where my school was, so I lived in a block of flats at the time, and there was 2 blocks of flats side by side with the same name, but one had less flats in it than the other one. And I lived in the one with the smallest flat, which was literally directly in front of the school that I was going to. And he lived in the block that had more flats in it on the top floor. And from where his flat was, or I should say his mum's flat was, you could see like the side of the school. So there was an entrance at the side and an entrance at the front. Most evenings, the entrance at the front would be locked, but the side entrance would be open. That's where most people would come out. So this particular evening, now I'm coming out of school and he's standing on the balcony and he's calling to me. And they're saying, oh, your mum said, you know, your mum's not at home. And she said that you must wait here till she gets home. I guess at this point now he's realized that I'm wary of him. You know, if I see him, I'll go in the opposite direction and stuff. So he said, oh, your mum said that you must wait here. So I'm like, okay. So I've gone up there again and the same thing's happened again. And then when he's finished, he's like, oh, your mum should be home by now. So I've left now to go home. Now, my mum's a person that she will tell me, you know, as soon as school finished, come straight home from school. So when I've got home now, bearing in mind the school is literally right in front of where I live, it shouldn't take me no time to get home. So when I've got in, she's like, where are you coming from? Because obviously I've got home later than she's expecting me to come through the door. So I'm trying to tell her what had happened. And I said to her, oh, so-and-so said you weren't home and that I must wait there. And so she's like, so why did you go there? Did I tell you to go there? I was like, no, but that's what he said. Now I was trying to tell her what had happened, but she was more interested in the fact that I didn't come straight home from school when she told me to. So basically whatever happened was on you. If you had come home, it wouldn't have happened, type of thing. So then there was another time I'm out playing and it happens again. And that was the last time with that person. It was only 4 times that it happened. Twice in his mum's home and twice somewhere else outside of the home. So then there was, this is a lot. So then there was my brother, because he's 3 years older than me. And my mum used to have this thing that if he wanted to go out and play, he had to take me with him. So obviously him being older than me, his friends are going to be older than me. So I got to know a lot of his friends. So there was this girl and her brother. Her brother, he pulled out his penis at the time. I didn't realize that's what it was called. And it was like, oh, I bet you can't fit this in your mouth. And I was like, yes, I can. So he put that in my mouth. That only happened once. But then his sister, she used to go down on me and get me. She would go down on me to show me what she wants me to basically do to her. And if I wouldn't do it, she would bully me. So because a lot of people where we live knew the type of person that my mum was, you know, most of the kids were scared of my mum. I was scared of my mum. So one time she asked me to go into a shop and steal something. And if I don't, she's going to tell my mum what I was doing. So I don't want her saying anything to my mum. So I've gone into the shop, I've stolen something, I've got caught. I don't know how to steal, I didn't used to steal. So I got caught, my mum found out, and my punishment for stealing was my hand being pushed into the fire. So, you know, stealing for me wasn't something that I wanted to be doing because I knew the punishment if I ever got caught. But I had no choice to do it because it was like being blackmailed, bullied, and, you know, molested at the same time. And knowing the type of person that my mum is, I can't tell my mum what's going on. So then now we've moved from where we was living there because my mum's had my younger sisters. And oh, sorry, before we moved, before my mum had this, this was when my mum had the children. So she was still at the hospital with them. So I had to go back and spend time with my aunt. Now, she wasn't like a blood aunt. She was just my uncle, my mum's brother's baby mother. That's all she was. But, you know, me and her daughter, we grew up together almost like sisters. So she spent a lot of time with me. And my mum, I spent a lot of time with her and her mum. So I've gone to spend summer holidays with her. So her mum's gone up to see her dad, which would be my cousin's granddad and grandmother, and her uncle, who was just a few years younger than me, the youngest one that was still at home. So while I was there, her granddad used to take my hand and put it down his trouser front. Again, never said anything to him. Didn't say anything to my aunt, didn't say anything to my cousin, didn't say anything to anybody for years. I think this is probably about the second time since it happening that I've even mentioned it. So where my mum and my dad, they worked together because my dad was very abusive towards my mum. I personally never saw it because me growing up as far back as I can remember, my mum and dad never lived together. So, you know, if it happened when I was born, I would have been a baby because I don't remember it. I never saw it growing up. The only thing I saw between them growing up was more arguments and arguments over me and how my mum treated me, even though my dad didn't even really know the half of how my mum was treating me. So sometimes I would go and spend time with my dad. And one particular time I went to stay with my dad, and one of my other brothers, he would be the oldest of the boys on my dad's side, but still younger than me because I'm the oldest. And I was laying there in the bed and he was in the bed as well. And he sort of like put his hand in between my legs and started rubbing me. He only did that once. I didn't say anything to him and I never said anything to my dad either, although he does know now because I have told him since a couple of years ago. So as I said, I've moved from where I used to live to a bigger place now because my sisters are there. So it's me, my older brother, and my younger twin sisters. And that's when a lot of the abuse, I guess, from my mum really, really started. I mean, I'd be beaten for stupid things. And for me, sometimes when I got in trouble, it's not that I didn't feel like I deserved to get into trouble. It's just the severity of the trouble. So she would, so back then, I'm talking like in the 80s, there was two types of kettle. You had one that you put on the stove, and then you had the electric one, which had a cord that plugged into the back of the kettle and then plugged into the wall. Nowadays, it's got like a base, the part that plugs into the wall, and the kettle sits on the base. So she used to take the lead from the kettle and she would beat me with it, but she would have me stripped literally naked, socks, knickers, vest, everything off. And then she would beat me. Oh gosh, this is difficult. So I used to run away a lot because of the abuse, because for me, I just felt that I'd be happier anywhere else other than there. I would ride the buses till all hours of the night. I remember one time I didn't even know where I ended up. And I ended up knocking on some people's door to ask them if, I could stay there the night because I was lost. And to be honest, not knowing these people at all, not even knowing where I was. If they were to do anything to me, there would have been nothing I could have done. But they were really nice people. You know, they let me sleep on the sofa. In the morning, they took me to where I could get a bus to drive, you know, to make my way back home. There were other times where I would deliberately go into shops and steal to get caught so that the police would arrest me. And I wouldn't tell them my name, I wouldn't tell them where I lived. You know, if I did give them an address, you know, be like, oh, I live around here, I live there, you know, be driving around and can't find me. So eventually they would put me into a children's home. And I'd go in there and I'd actually sleep and sleep peacefully till my mum got there, and it was like, why? Why did you have to find me so quick? Why can't you just forget about me? Because for how you're treating me, no child should be treated that way. So I've got to sort of like 13, 14 now where I've started my periods. And my mum said to me that every month when I come on, I must tell her. Now, for me, that was sort of like, I guess I found it sort of like embarrassing. And even though I know it's nothing to be embarrassed about, it's, you know, all women go through that. But to me, you know, that was like my thing, the one thing that I should be able to keep to myself, so to speak. So I used to have to scratch my mum's scalp for her from time to time. And I was scratching her scalp this particular time, and she was like, make sure you tell me when you come on, you know. And I'm like, yeah. Now, at that time, I was actually on. So I could have just said to her, yeah, I'm on now. But as far as I'm concerned, you know, I wanted to keep it to myself. I didn't see why I needed to tell you every time I came on. So that time, sort of maybe about a week, 2 weeks, no, I don't know, because I wasn't really paying it much time. All I know is I was on, I'd finished, time had passed, I wasn't due on again. And my mum asked me if I've come on. Now at this point, I'm not due on yet. So, and I'm like, no. So she's like, okay. Then she leaves it a while, and then she asks us again a few days, maybe a week, I don't know. And then she's like, have you come on yet? So I'm like, no. So she's like, you better make sure you come on by the morning. Now, even when I think about it now, I have to laugh. I have to laugh. But even still, you know, my thought process was I was going to get up in the morning. I was going to get a sanitary towel. I was going to put tomato ketchup on it and put it in my knickers. So, because, you know, I know that my mum's going to come and want to check me. And then I can say, yeah, look, see, I come on. Well, whether it would have worked or worked not, I never got the opportunity to find out because she woke me up in the middle of the night and asked me to pull down my underwear. So when she looked now and she don't see no blood, she takes me into her bedroom and she's like, are you pregnant? So I'm like, no. And she's like, are you pregnant? I'm like, no, I'm not pregnant. So she then goes and she gets her boots and then she's hitting me in my stomach with not the actual heel, but the heel end of the boot in my stomach every time I'm telling her no. And I'm like, I'm not pregnant. So she said, all right, I'm going to take you to the doctors to see if you're a virgin. Now, at this point, my mum did not know what her friend's son had done to me. So I knew if she took me to the doctors, they're going to see that I'm not a virgin, and then my mum's going to be there thinking I'm pregnant. So it was at that point that I said to her, oh, so-and-so's son did such and such to me. And in my mum's head, I don't know, I don't even think she even heard me. I mean, she heard me, but I don't think she actually heard me because she didn't question me about it. All she's insisting on is, I'm pregnant, and I'm there telling her no. And, it got to the point where just to get her to stop, I said, okay, yes, I'm pregnant. So then she's asking me, who is it? Bearing in mind, I'm not pregnant. I ain't even doing anything to get pregnant. Type of child that I was at school, I think because of what I'd been through when I was younger, any boy that came too close to me, he felt it, not in a nice way. At secondary school, my nickname was Man Beater. Not that it's anything to be proud of or that I'm proud of, but it's just that if a boy touched me inappropriately, I was going to beat his ass. Simple. I wasn't having it anymore. So my mum thinking I'm pregnant, to me was just, I don't even know why you would think that. So she's then asking me, who is it? So I just made up a name. And my mum's like, no, it's not. I know who it is. I just want you to tell me his name. And I'm like, no, it was this person. I think I said Peter or something. I just made up a name. Then she's asking me, oh, where did you meet him? So I was like, oh, he goes to school. She's like, what school? Now, if I said my school that I was going to, my mum would have gone down the school and probably want to find this person. That's what I'm thinking. So I just said, oh, we went to an all-boys school, which was just up the road from the school in which that I went to. So then my mum's like, well, where did you do it? Where did you get pregnant? Now, as I said, this is just showing the naivety of me. I've always said as a child, baby come from under a bush. Well, now that I'm older, I understand what bush they're so-called talking about. But at that time, I didn't know. So I was like, oh, in a bush. And so my mum's like, okay. So at this point now, the hitting has stopped. So I'm somewhat relieved. So she then takes me out of her bedroom, down the stairs, through the kitchen, and locks me out in the back garden. I ain't got no shoes on my foot. I'm wearing a pink nightie that she had bought me. It was a long nightie, but it had like two splits up the side that had like a lace trim round the splits. And it had thin straps and it sort of like came up like a bra tops kind of thing. It just had like covered over the boobs, which half of that was ripped off anyway from what had happened previously. And I was left out in the garden. I don't know what time I was put out there, but I know it was still dark. And I was still out there till the sunlight came up. And it's only now that I'm older that I understand that at that time, if I was pregnant, by the time she had finished with me, I wouldn't have been pregnant. So I would have miscarried in the back garden on my own. Because where the back garden is to where my mum's bedroom is, my mum's bedroom's at the front of the house. So even if I was to call out, she wouldn't have heard me. But as I said, I wasn't pregnant, so luckily for me, yeah, that wasn't an issue. So she's come down in the morning, she's let me in, she's, told me to go and get myself ready for school. So, I've done that, gone to school. Then my mum decides that, and I shouldn't say it like that, my mum decided, but because it affected me a lot, she decided she wanted to start up a nursery, because she wanted to make something of herself. And, I don't begrudge her that at all. And she managed to get hold of a building and she was using the building to run the nursery. I'm not quite sure of the full ins and outs about it, but she was using it, and then it came to a point where they said she can't use it anymore. And because a lot of the mothers that came, they respected the help that my mum gave them, because she was offering them a 24-hour service. So if they wanted to go out on a weekend, they could bring their children and she would look after them. Well, I say she would look after them. So she decided that she was going to move it from the place where she had it to the family home. So I went from having a double bed in my bedroom to myself to a single mattress on the floor. When the children would come in the morning, I'd have to be there letting them in. In the meantime, I'm trying to get myself ready for school. One of the mornings, a mother has come, she's got 3 children, she's dropped the 3 children off. And the oldest son, when I left for school in the morning, I had to leave a little bit earlier so that I could take him to school and then go on to school. So this particular morning, I guess he didn't want to wait for me. I'm there getting ready for school. He somehow managed to leave the house to make his own way to school. My mum was up in her room, in her bed, I assume, because she was in her room. She didn't used to come out of her room until just before I left the house to go to school. So everyone's frantic, wondering where this boy is, trying to look for him. I mean, we found him. In the end, he was making his own way to school, but I got into trouble for that. Because she's asking me, what was I doing? Well, I'm getting ready for school. That's what I'm supposed to be doing. So this same mother, apparently one time said she had come to pay her money, and apparently she's saying that the money is £50 short, £50 missing, and she had it when she came into the house. And she knows she had it in when she came into the house, because I think she said something about she either checked it at, just before she came into the house at the doorstep or what, I don't know. But she said, she checked the money and she had all the money, but when she's going to give it to my mum, it's £50 short. Now, my mum, being the type of person that always thought less of me, regardless of what, assumed that I had taken the money, or maybe I'd found it and kept it or something. I don't know. I'm telling her, she calls me into one of the rooms. She's like, oh, so-and-so says £50. Have you got it? So I'm like, well, no. But she didn't believe me. So she's there, search me. Now, bearing in mind, this mother is standing in the room with me, and she's searching my clothes. Then she tells me to pull down my underwear in front of this mother that I don't know from nowhere. And searching my underwear, she doesn't find anything. The mother's standing there sniggering. And my mum's like, all right, you can go to school now. Nobody apologized, nothing. And that just made me feel so degraded. It was like, how could you in front of strangers like that? I mean, I know you do some crap, but that was just below the belt. How could you, I'm your child. How could, all right, granted, the woman says she lost money. You think I might have it because I'm the only, other than the small children, I'm the only other, person in the home. So, all right, I understand if you might think maybe I might have picked it up, didn't want to say anything and keep it. But to go to that extremes to search me, as to go as far as searching my underwear in front of this person and then not even apologize. I mean, I just think the woman probably didn't have the money and just wanted to make out that she lost it. I don't know. So, I've gone to school, I've come back, and the nursery is sort of like, I don't know, it just wasn't going the way she wanted it to go. So it was sort of like kind of winding down somewhat. And so she had a friend come and stay. And I've gone to school the morning, I've come home, and I've got my mum and this woman confronting me, telling me about, well, it was mainly the other lady saying how she had a man in her room. And I went into the room. She came out of the room for whatever reason to go toilet, I assume. And I went into the room, went into the man's trousers, took out his wallet, and the man was apparently sleeping and woke up and caught me taking £5 out of his wallet. And because of that, he said he's not coming back to the house. I didn't even know there was any man in the house. And even still, even if I knew there was somebody in there. I can't see through walls and doors to know whether they're awake or asleep, let alone where their stuff is or where they keep their stuff. So she's there saying, you know, oh, I should box you in your face for that. And I'm looking, I'm like, well, I didn't go in the room. I never touched nothing. So why are you going on like that? And before my mum turned around and said, no, you can't be threatening my daughter. My mum's like, no, box her, yes. If that's what she, yeah, box her, yes. And I'm sitting there thinking, really? So, you know, I left the house and I just went off and done my usual walkabouts till all hours, you know, police will pick me up and then bring me home. Because I just didn't feel safe at home. Because now it's one thing you're doing what you're doing, but now you're allowing others to be able to can come in and do what they want. So, you know, as I said, you know, the nursery was coming to a close. There was a baby that she was a cute little thing. And I used to take her everywhere. She was like my little dolly. But she passed away. And, you know, we got the call to say that she had passed away. And I went to the hospital because I was curious as to what a dead body looks like. I have to be honest, I'm like 14 at the time. You know, I'm curious. So, you know, I went to the hospital, made out that I was some family member from out of town, and, you know, I've just heard and, you know, I wanted to see her. So they've, you know, taken me to the morgue and they've allowed me to see her. And she just looked like she was sleeping. I touched her cheek and it was cold, but she felt like a porcelain doll. And I mean, there's a reason why I'm mentioning this. So, you know, she's had the funeral, you know, times pass, years pass. And then, so I've had my 15th birthday, because my birthday is in April. So I've had my 15th birthday in April. September was the first time that I actually looked at a boy, you know, as somebody I liked, not just somebody to ramp with. So that was September. December, it was after Christmas. And, you know, you come to the house. My mum would allow him to come to the house. So this particular time he's come to the house. We're upstairs. It was just after Christmas, as I said, and my grandma bought me some underwear for Christmas. And I liked them and I love my grandma. Yeah, so I had one of them on and he was, oh, we should do it. And I'm like, no. So it's like, well, if I don't get it from you, I'll get it from someone else. And I was like, well, if that's what you want to do, kind of thing. It's like, no, I really want it from you. You know, you're my girlfriend or whatever. And he's there tugging on my underwear like he wanted to rip it off. As I said, I liked the underwear. I don't want you ripping them off. So, you know, I just took them off. He got on top of me. And I always, you know, when I tell the story of how, because I actually got pregnant from that. I mean, although it wasn't on me very long, but when I tell the story of when I got pregnant, I was like, oh, he was a perfect gentleman, you know. He got on, I said, got off, get off, and he got off. I mean, he more or less done that, but I never spoke really about the lead up to that point. So as I said, that was the December. The January, I was experiencing pain in my left breast, which kind of like had like a lump to it. And at that time, I had a part-time job, and I was speaking with one of my other female co-workers about it. He was much older than me. And so she recommended, oh, I should go to this place and, you know, let them check it out. So I go to this place, like during my lunchtime at school, and they're asking all these questions about my period and having sex. And I'm thinking, what's this got to do with the pain in my breast? So then they asked me to pee in a bottle. Did that, gave it to them. I just sit in the waiting room for a bit. And then they've called me into this room and they've said to me, I'm pregnant. Now, at that point, I'm thinking, uh-oh. Because I'm thinking what my mum done to me when she thought I was pregnant and I wasn't even pregnant. So what is she going to do to me now? So it took me about 2 weeks to pluck up the courage to actually tell her that I'm pregnant. And I remember, I think it was on a Tuesday. And, I watched certain programs that I liked watching. I made sure I watched all of those first because I knew I ain't going to live. As far as I'm concerned, by the time she find out, I ain't going to live. So now let me say my goodbyes. And I said goodbye to my younger sisters. Like, you ain't going to see your big sister anymore. Watch my programs. And then my mum's there and she's like laying down like she's going to doze off. So up until this point, my mum was having morning sickness. No, she wasn't. She was having cravings, sorry. So she thought she was pregnant. So I'm sitting there on one sofa and she's there laying down on the other. And I'm like, really nervously, like, Mum. She's like, what? I'm like, oh, I've got something to tell you. She's like, what? You're pregnant? And I thought, oh, shit. So I was like, yeah. And she flew up off the chair. Now I'm ready. I've embraced myself now because I'm expecting, fist to come flying and foot to come flying and choking the neck and all the rest of it. And instead she called my grandma. And I'm thinking, uh-oh, that's probably worse because my grandma's a Christian woman. She don't believe in sex before marriage, baby out of wedlock, mm-mm. So I'm thinking, uh-oh, she's going to let my grandma deal with me. But my grandma didn't. She actually bought me the only 2 maternity dresses that I had. She bought me my, maternity dresses. She bought me 2 nighties to go into hospital with. She bought me a wash bag. And, my grandma, she was really good to me during my pregnancy. I expected bad treatment from her, but I didn't. My mum wasn't too bad during my pregnancy, other than one time when the clinic called and they wanted to speak to me and my mum wanted to know what it was about and they wouldn't tell her. So she was upset about that. So as I said, I had my 15th birthday, the April. I had sex, I guess, December. Found out I was pregnant in January. Had my 16th birthday in April. And she was born in September. But I think I was maybe about 6, 7 months pregnant. And I had 3 dreams. One of them was that she went into an incubator as soon as she was born. And the other one was that she passed away. But in the dream, the room wasn't my bedroom. And the layout of the room wasn't somewhere that I was familiar with. And what I was wearing in the dream, I didn't even own. And I dreamt that dream twice. I was like, right, I ain't buying no cop. So she was born end of September at the hospital. I'd forgotten about the dream by then. September's come, she's born, I'm at the hospital. And the only time she was actually in the cot is if I was going to the toilet or to the shower room to go and shower. And I'd put her in there and I'll take her with me. Other than that, she was in the bed. And I never let the nurses look after her. I did it all myself. So I've come home, doing what I do, just looking after the baby. My mum's there to help when she comes in from work. And I've got my brothers there. I've got my younger sisters there. So, funny enough, all of my children, by the time they reach about 6 weeks old, they're more or less sleeping through the night. So by the time she was 6 weeks, she was, as good as sleeping through the night. She would, her last bottle could be about 11, 12 o'clock, and she weren't stirring till about 6, 7 o'clock the following morning. So I used to make a bottle for her, bring it up with me, so when she woke up in the morning, she could have her bottle. That was her routine. I used to take her to the baby clinic to get her checked and stuff, and they would weigh her, but her weight was never stable. It was going up and down, up and down, up and down. So this particular day, I've taken her to the clinic to get her weighed. It was just after Christmas, and I'd left her bottle at home. So when we got there now, she's like really hungry. I think it's about 9:30 now. So they're asking me, "Oh, what's wrong with her?" So I said, "Well, she's probably hungry, and I've left her bottle at home." So bearing in mind at this point, she's like 2.5 months old, or about 2.5 months or so old. And so they've asked me, when's the last time she was fed? So I said, oh, I think it was about midnight last night. So they're looking at the time and they're thinking, that's too long. So then when they're looking at her weight, they're thinking, oh, well, she's probably not feeding her properly. So they, after the visit at the clinic, I've gone home later on that evening. I've had like social workers come to the house saying how they want to take the baby to the hospital and they want to monitor the baby because they believe I'm starving the baby. So she was in hospital for 2 weeks. I wasn't allowed to feed her. They did the feeding. Now, this child, she ate. I mean, she would drink a full bottle. She was eating, most babies, they say give them half a rush. She was eating like a rusk and a half. When it came to the baby food, she would eat half a jar of dinner, a whole jar of pudding. She ate. There was no chance of me starving her. She ate. But during that time, they're feeding her every 4 hours, giving her the formula milk, and then they're weighing her. And remember, I have no control over her feeding. They're doing it all, and they're seeing for themselves. She's putting on weight, and then she's losing the weight. So her weight just was not staying. So they said the only way they were going to discharge me from the hospital, clearly there's nothing they can do, because that's just how, the child is. She just doesn't hold her weight. They said as long, there's somebody there with me 24 hours a day to prompt me to feed this child every 4 hours. So with my mum working, mum said, well, she can't do it because she's got to work. So they put me into a mother and baby's hostel. That was on the Friday. The Saturday, I went to the child's dad's mum's house so that his younger siblings and that could see the baby. I left the house, I went home. Now, in this mother and baby's home, there was a single bed by the window, cot by the wall. So I've got back home, and that night, I wanted to have her in the bed with me, but at home, because I was sleeping on the mattress, me and her were sleeping on a mattress, and she slept bad because by the time we wake up in the morning, half of her's on the mattress, half of her's on the floor. So I didn't want to have her in the bed with me because in case she fell off, and the carpet was like a hard surface carpet. So my plan was the Monday, when I got some money, I was going to go out and buy a softer rug that I could put on the floor and then put the mattress on the floor so we could sleep on that. So if she rolled off or anything, she's on something soft. So we've come back the Saturday night.
You sound a bit overwhelmed. Have a sip of water. We only have a few minutes to go, but take a second and have a sip of water. I can hear that you sound a bit overwhelmed. Viewers, thank you so much for being here tonight. This is really a lot the caller is sharing. You've heard everything that she shared so far that she went through, and you can hear that she's nowhere close to the end of what her ordeal is, and it's sounded horrible so far. If you notice, I didn't even stop her for the 30-minute break because I wanted her to just let it all out. All right. Are you ready again?
Yeah.
Now, it sounds as if we may have to um, give you a part three because we're already at the hour. But I'm going to give you a few more
Okay.
minutes before we wrap it up. But as a matter of fact, you know what? Let's wrap it up there. But I want to ask you a few questions
Mhm.
to end it.
Yeah,
We're,
sure.
we're gonna we're gonna let you continue in a part three. But one of the questions that I want to ask you is this: with everything that you went through, and you were not protected by your mother at all from any of these things
Mhm.
that happened to you. Now, did that cause you to feel resentment for your mother? One, and if you did you ever forgive her over the years?
I had deep resentment for my mum, and it's only in the last, what, 2 years that I haven't so much as forgiven her,
Hmm.
because there is still a conversation to be had, which it can't be had until she's ready. But yeah, there was a lot of resentment towards my mum for a lot of
Your
things.
mom is still alive,
Yeah, she is.
and do you communicate with her presently?
Somewhat,
Why,
somewhat.
if you never mentioned any, well, I know you said that you told your father about one of the incidents that happened. Did you ever have a conversation with your mother about all the things that you went through in depth? I- For instance, the way in which you
And
shared on the program tonight. Did you ever have a conversation with her?
anytime I tried to bring it up, it would be, oh, you know what type of child you were, Michelle. So, you know, nothing would, you would never get anywhere. She never gave you any room to talk. She always would talk over you and talk about all the things that you've done wrong. She never gave you the opportunity to can say what was going on.
Hmm.
But 2 years ago, I done a video of everything that I'm speaking about now, even things that I haven't spoken about now, like with my younger sisters,
Hmm.
having to be basically their caretakers from the age of 10, come right up. You know, I did it all in a video. It was about a 45-minute video, but then when I tried to send it through WhatsApp, it wouldn't send.
You were
So
still
I had to
large.
do it in like three parts of like 15-minute segments kind of thing
Hmm.
and send them to her. So yeah, she's well aware of everything now.
Hmm.
And that's the conversation that I say we need to have, but clearly she's not ready to have that conversation to address those things.
The next question I have for you is, okay, so you went on into adulthood, um, with everything that you went through. How did it affect you relationship wise? How did it affect you as an adult? Did it affect you in any way?
It kind of made me feel like I wasn't worthy, you know, because I was made to feel that bad things happen to bad people. So the fact that I was experiencing a lot of bad things, then I must be a bad person. That's how it made me feel.
Now, that's how it made you feel. You don't feel that way anymore, do you? I hope not.
No, no, no,
Wonderful.
no.
Wonderful. Now, this is my final question for you before we wrap up. With your brothers who molested you and
Hmm.
the family members that molested you, did you ever confront any of them as an adult about it? Did you ever speak with any of them as an adult about it? And
Um,
go ahead.
yeah, finish. I was just gonna say, well, one of them's passed away. My cousin's granddad. My brother, who's 3 years older than me, we have talked about it and he's, apologized. My other brother, I've never spoken about it again to him, but my dad is aware. So, like, my dad knows which two brothers did what they did. My
Mm-hmm.
mum won't ask. And I feel that she won't ask because the fear is I have five brothers. One of them is her son.
Mm-hmm.
And the chances are it could be two of my brothers on my dad's side, but it could also be one on my dad's side and the one brother I have on my mum's side. So I guess that's probably why she won't answer the question.
Now I know off air you and I had this conversation when I asked you about whether you sought professional help and you gave me your answer. Now for the sake of the listeners,
Mhm.
did you seek professional help, and if you did it help you in any way?
I've seen various counselors. So I saw one that was tailored for parents of children who's been sexually abused. A lot of things came up in that, but I didn't feel ready because it was still very much raw after what had happened. So it was hard for me to talk about it. So by the time it came to the end, and that was for a year, I hadn't really spoke about it. The only thing that really came out in that, which was in 2017, was that the pregnancy of my first child was actually rape. It wasn't, so that was sort of like something that I wasn't expecting to come out.
Mm-hmm.
I had like other kinds of counseling for, just sort of like try and change my thought process as to how I view myself. So that's why I said, no, I don't see myself that way anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And then the last one, that's what kind of sort of like helped me to, that was for a year as well, that kind of like helped me to understand the issues with my mum, made me do not necessarily made me do the videos, but made me want to do the videos. And it was important for me to do it before my 48th birthday, because for me, my 48th birthday was for me, my rebirth, you know, putting down all the baggage, all the trauma, all the pain, all the hurt, all the mistreatments, everything, and just moving forward without that, setting myself free. So it was important for me to be able to can do that. I needed to confront my mum, but I know that I can't sit down with her and confront her because I know what's going to come out of her mouth before I even start. So I did it in the form of the videos and sent it to her.
I'm gonna let you
So
go.
yeah.
I'm gonna let you go, but
Hmm.
before I do so, I'm gonna say this. You need to have this conversation with your mother. Just at least, you know, explain to her that you need to get this off your chest and you need her to just listen. You know, don't allow her to shut you down. Don't allow her to cast any blames on you, but you just need to let her understand that you need to get this out and tell her exactly how you feel. It has been years. Yes, I understand you're an adult, you're your own woman right now, but nonetheless, for you to fully forgive her for everything that happened to you, though she's not the one that did everything to you, but she is the one that failed you. You know,
Yeah.
you definitely need to just get this off your chest. And you doing so, it's actually going to free you. You started the process by talking about it, you know, and letting it out, but you need to actually speak with her and tell her exactly how you feel. All right.
Well, that's what I did in the videos.
Right. But see, the
And
video, the video is one way of doing it, but there's no guarantee that she will actually watch it and listen. But Maybe if you
Oh no,
just
she watched it.
mm-hmm.
She watched it.
Did she
You know, she tried to send the video back, but it's like the first part of it is missed. So it's like the last 6 minutes of it. And her reaction, was exactly what I somewhat expected,
mm-hmm.
because I've never said to my mum a lot of the things that I had said,
Mm-hmm.
about I resented her, you failed me when you should have been there for me. You wasn't there for me. All of it is all in there.
Mm-hmm.
And, so her reaction was basically what I expected. So I had to then do another video to just sort of like say, look, I'm not doing this to attack you.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just telling you what was going on with me back then, why I behaved in certain ways and reacted, you know, certain ways in certain situations. It was about me taking responsibility for my actions and just letting you know why things were like that.
Mm-hmm. Carla, what you shared with us tonight, it's extremely heartbreaking to listen to. And not only for me, because I'm reading the comment section, and you're touching a lot of people tonight with what you shared. And what makes this even more sad is that what you shared, there are so many others presently right now going through what you went through. You know, young kids out there facing it. And with you sharing your experience, I want to say this to all the mothers and fathers listening right now. You heard what this caller shared. Look for the signs, right? Speak to your kids, ask your kids questions, and make sure that they know that they can talk to you. Because if you listen to what tonight's guest shared, she said her mother was not the kind of mother that she could have gone to and spoken to. And that's very important, because we all need to understand that, listen, if your child fears talking to you, when anything is happening with that child will not come to you. So, us as parents, we need to let our kids understand that, listen, no matter what it is, you can talk to me. Don't allow your kids to fear you that much that they don't want to come to you and tell you certain things. Carl, I want to thank you once again for gracing the platform tonight. And
You're welcome.
listen, you have my heart bleeding, you know, but you've gotten to where you are. You went through it, and someone you and I spoke earlier, and you said someone said that you're a strong woman. You remember that conversation? You know,
Yeah,
and you definitely are. You went through it, and you're still here pushing on. So I applaud you. All right.
thank you.
You and I will speak off here once again. Have a great night, and thank you so much.
You're welcome.
All right, Unstoppable family, there you have it. The caller shared her part two of her experience. And yes, like I said, it was a really sad one tonight again. We're at the end of tonight's program. And before I leave, I'm going to just remind everyone that's here, if you out there have an experience of your own that you would like to share, it is very simple to do so. Just send a message to 754-317-5747 via WhatsApp, and just simply say, Unstoppable, I would like to share my experience. And once you do so, I will give you a call back and we can take it from there. All right. One of the things that you need to remember is that your experience, your ordeal, what you went through can possibly help someone that's going through it presently. And I know a lot of you out there be like, "Oh, my story too serious for talk. Oh, I'm embarrassed. I can't share it." No, share your truth, and you can't worry about what others will think about you sharing your truth, because it's your right to talk about your experience. 754-317-5747. Send a message to that WhatsApp number, and we'll take it from there. Family, I want to thank you so much for tuning in tonight. Every single person that is here, you are appreciated. All the newbies, thank you so much for clicking on tonight. I saw a few persons jump in the comment section and say good night. It's my first time. Thank you so much for being here. And to every single person that shared out the program, thank you so much. And if you click the thumbs up button, thank you so much. I want to say thank you to the people who contributed to the program, right? Because, you know, you show that you have some love for the program. So you're sending a little contribution, which is always appreciated. That Diva sent in a super chat contribution. I appreciate you, Diva. Camille sent in a Cash App contribution, and that is appreciated. Sharon also sent in a Cash App contribution. Thank you so much, Sharon. And Candy sent in a PayPal contribution as well. I see where somebody else did send in a super chat by YouTube. You know, oh God, I can't remember the name. Remember the Diva. Let me see if I can see it. How would it say? Vivian Latouche. Thank you so much, Vivian, for sending in that super chat contribution on YouTube. I appreciate it. All right, family, thank you so much for tuning in tonight. Enjoy your weekend. Make sure say you are safe with whatever it is that you intend to do over the weekend, and make sure say me see every single one I know back here so Monday night for another awesome program.
See the music, 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 see the music,